name is Walter Ennis, and it is my honor to serve as your Master of Ceremonies as we celebrate the 34th Annual State Farm Bayou Classic. I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the distinguished guests who are joining us this morning. The Mayor of New Orleans, Mr. C. Ray Nagin, Mr. Doug Thornton, General Manager of the Louisiana Superdome, Mr. Chuck Morse, Director of Tourism for the state of Louisiana, and the head coaches from Southern University, Coach Pete Richardson, and from Grambling State University, Coach Rod Broadway. We will now have opening remarks by the mayor of this great city of New Orleans, Mr. C. Ray Nagin. Mr. Nagin.
Thank you, and good morning, everyone. It's wonderful to be here once again to officially kick off the 34th, I got my numbers right? 34th Annual Bayou Classic, State Farm Bayou Classic press conference. Thank you for attending today, and thank you to everyone who will be here this weekend for what truly will be another incredible event for the city of New Orleans as we continue in our recovery. To the university leaders who I think have already been acknowledged, to the dedicated coaches who are here. I'm sure it's going to be a hard-fought game. A couple of you have, both of you have pretty good records this year, so we're looking forward to a wonderful game. You know, they say the Rose Bowl is billed as the granddaddy of them all. And for black college football, the Bayou Classic is just that and more. This event has a proud history of bringing families together, friends together, colleagues together for an exciting and intense sports rivalry that spans many generations. It is the largest football game in black college sports. Bayou Classic serves as a tremendous economic stimulus also for the city of New Orleans. It brings more than 200,000 fans from across the country, and almost 70,000 people will be in this Superdome cheering their favorite team on. According to the New Orleans Multicultural Tourist Network, the estimated economic impact to the city of New Orleans is somewhere in the $200 to $300 million range. So we're really appreciative for that economic stimulus at this critical time in our recovery. So in conclusion, we invite all fans to come this weekend. The weather's been great. All of our restaurants are back open. Harris Casino is back, Saks Fifth Avenue. So we want you to come into the city. We want you to have a good time. We want you to enjoy yourself. And most of all, we want you to spend plenty of money while you're here. We could use the tax revenues going forward.
Now I would like to introduce Mr. Doug Thornton, General Manager of the Louisiana Superdome, and our gracious host for this wonderful event. Mr. Thornton.
Thank you all, and welcome back to the Louisiana Superdome. This has really been a great relationship that we've had with both universities. This is the 34th Annual Bayou Classic, State Farm Bayou Classic, and there have been so many memorable moments here over the years. I can recall Coach Rob's last season and the last game that he ever coached here. It was a very emotional moment for him and for me personally. This year, when the fans return, you'll return to a building that has been completely restored. $197 million worth of restoration that's taken a period of 2 years to complete. But I think you'll find a very modern facility, one that will accommodate you very well and will suit the needs of the teams. We're just so happy to be able to bring the game back here where it belongs, and hopefully this will be the continuation of a very long relationship.
Now please join me in welcoming Mr. Chuck Morse, Director of Tourism for the state of Louisiana. Mr. Morse.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure and privilege to be before you today. This is an opportunity for us to show the world that Louisiana is open for business, that our city, New Orleans, is ready for business also. This is a nationally televised game that will also present to the world all the great culture that Louisiana has to offer. It is my pleasure to say that no matter who wins this game, whether Grambling wins or Southern wins, the real winner is the state of Louisiana and the city of New Orleans. So we invite folks to come down and to participate in this great event. An event, as Mayor Nagin mentioned, over $200 million in economic impact for the city and for the state.
Now it's time for the men of the hour. The head coaches from Southern University and Grambling State University. From Southern University, Coach Pete Richardson.
Good morning. The State Farm Bayou Classic seems like 15 years have passed, but it took me about 10 years to really figure out what the game really meant to the people of Louisiana, because it's a different type of rivalry game. It's hard to explain to people, especially if you've never been to the game. You have two historically black institutions against national exposed television at the finest hour. I don't think you could ask anything else for recruiting. I think that's a great aspect for both institutions. Also, when you talk about the people involved, you look at the state of Louisiana, it looks like two separate nations in one, because you northern Louisiana, southern Louisiana, two different types of culture, but they all come together in the Bayou Classic. And I think it's a grand experience for both institutions to have this exposure. Also, you talk about the families. A lot of them ride down the cars together, but when they come into the stadium or in the dome, they go to different sides. And I think that's when the structure goes, as far as for 3 hours, they're at each other's throat. One of my mentors, Coach Robinson, you know, his legacy is going to be evolved around these classics. And anytime you talk about one of them, you talk about the Bayou Classic. And for that individual, he's going to have the greatest seat in the house. He's going to be looking over all of us. And we really appreciate that aspect of it. Now, as far as the game, I think you're going to have a great football game. I think Coach Broadway and his staff, especially Coach Joe, used to be on my staff also, are great technicians of the game. They did a great job of selling their team, buying into their philosophy, and did an outstanding job. Especially their quarterback, Landers, is doing an outstanding job with their program. You look at the freshman running back they had to install. I think Warren is his name, doing an outstanding job, close to 1,000 yards. And of course, defensively, they have an individual we tried to recruit, Banks, I think, on the defensive line, that's doing a fine job for them. So you look at the tradition of this football game, it's going to be very competitive. And like the individual said, it won't be any losers, because when we walk out of here, the whole state is going to be rewarded for it. Thank you.
Last but certainly not least, we'd like to welcome the head coach of Grambling State University, Rod Broadway.
Good morning. Let me first start by saying it's an honor to be here. I've heard so much about this great classic. I even called Coach Richards last week and talked with him a little bit about it. And let me say this. I've followed Coach for a long time, and what he's done the last 15 years to me is remarkable. You know, it's pretty easy to have a good season, but when you can put 15 of those things back to back to back to back, that's pretty hard. Coach, that's a job well done. We're honored to be here, and we're looking forward to it. We don't know much about it, except when I first landed in Grambling, the thing that we kept hearing is beat Southern, beat Southern, beat Southern. And the thing I kept trying to remind people, there's a lot of games between now and Southern. But you know what? They don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that. They want to know about the Bayou Classic. So this week we're able to talk about it. And I get the feeling a lot of times with our people that this game is more important than a championship. And it's an honor to be here, and I think it's a great rivalry in a great city. You know, my last trip down here was I was at the University of Florida. We played Miami and got beat. The trip before that, we played Florida State in the national championship game and was able to win. So we've been involved in two great games here, and one win and one loss. And hopefully we'll be able to pull together good performance this week and play well, and we're looking forward to the challenge.
Thank you for coming, and enjoy the festivities this weekend. Thanks again.
Well, we just talked about the game. You know, we talked about the meaning of the game, and just talked about some old times. Well, and that's a challenge within itself. You know, we've played a couple of classics this year, and you know, our job is to stay focused. And the football game is the reason we're here. It's not the step show. It's not the concerts. It's not anything. Our number one priority is to get prepared and play a football game. Play a football game well.
Is get focused on what we have to do at hand. I think a lot of them are excited about having the opportunity to play. The families will be here. They'll be playing against some of their friends that they played with in high school. And of course, we can't give up any big plays on either side of the ball if we're going to be successful.
Coach, best of luck.